order to satisfy debts from the attorney that happened during my tenure. That's what you said. That's what the local said. I want to know for the, I guess, something like $3,500 extra, have you paid him?
Yes.
$3,500.
We send them actually about $2,000 a month.
Okay, I got a question on that one, and unfortunately this can only be for James because James is the only one on the e-board.
Excuse me, can I just add on to that?
Sure.
Everyone ought to be aware, especially at Branch 3. Yeah, for Karen's legal debt we send 2 a month. We also send 1 a month for the legal debt that we still owe from Carlos Padilla's time. He also ran up a debt, not as large or as fast as Karen did, but as a union and members, we're still paying for stuff on Carlos's watch. The difference is, Carlos always got that executive board to agree with him, and they voted it, which is just as bad, because these were bad cases. Bad cases, expensive cases, and we're still paying $1 grand a month on those.
Okay, I got a different question then. Okay, this is for everybody. This is for everybody. I would like some practical mechanisms to increase transparency from each of you. And, well, James, it'll be somewhat of a reiteration, but I think it'll make it easier for the editor. Working across, I want practical programs for greater transparency, starting with Rick.
Well, obviously, a report that would be not just an email, but a hard copy where it would be delivered to a different member each month who could look at it and then kind of circulate it around when we're on the job. Like if you're on a bus, you're a little bit more isolated. So I imagine it'd be something like, in other words, an accounting, itemized accounting of where the money goes. That would help a number of things. First of all, it gets people talking. You're talking about the money. Like right now, I just heard Karen and James talk about money back and forth. And I sit here, and of course, it's fascinating about Carlos, and we're all interested in this. This is like, everybody wants to know this stuff. And this would be practical. In other words, you come up with what every month, make it, and also change the meeting shouldn't be locked into the same day. It should be kind of a little bit more of a floating crap game. In other words, you ought to be able to have mini meetings, and you ought to be able to delegate some just rank and file as reps to handle this paperwork, so it's not always coming from the same guys, because people start looking cross-eyed at union officials, because they're always suspected since time began as being corrupt. That's just the way it is. Rank and file looks at officials like, yo, you know. So we have to show, you have to let other people in on it. It can't be like a closed, you got, I mean, again, it's sunshine stuff. You know, I mean, that's, I don't know if it's, and there's ways to implement it. We all know how to do that practically, you know, emails as well as hard copy, and produce every week, every month. There has to be a report, and say, this is what we're doing, and ask for feedback. What do you want us to do? And show up with a clipboard, walk around and talk to the membership, saying, what happened now, what's going on? And as I suggested to you guys 6 months ago, I said, put out a business card like Karen and James did, so we can call and say, hey, look what just happened. I had that incident happen to me, where one of the dispatchers jumped me when I was waiting there for tips to fall into the bag and tried to drag me off before I saw the tips go in, and pushed me on another bus. And I immediately called Karen, and James, and I said, hey, look what they just did to me. Because fortunately, this way I didn't turn around and go off on the dispatcher and perhaps get fired. See? So it's like a cooling off thing too. It works. You know? And again, I have to give credit where credit's due. I got this from Noel. Picked this up for him when you guys were doing the committee. He was there.
All right.
Him and Sashery.
No, we got more to answer. Stop. James, same question.
Well, I mean, I'd just be reiterating everything
And
I've said
do it to
before
make it
about
easier on the editor.
openness. I mean, I think the first thing was, the priority for me was getting the executive board to authorize the audit. And I stress this, executive board, the vice president can't go in there any more than the president can go in there and say, okay, this is the way it's going to be. You have to be a persuasive individual because you're sitting in that boardroom, Louis' been there, you got people from different branches, different backgrounds, and you have to lay the case to get a consensus, to get enough people to nod their heads and vote for what we're asking for here. None of us can say, oh, we can go in there and order this. We can't. So when you vote for someone, vote for a persuasive individual who's going to do this. Rick, the duties of the vice president are on the website. They're right here. And I will continue. That's at the top of my list, openness.
Could those be read, by the way?
They're open to everybody, they're on the website.
They're on the website.
No, we're here at this meeting right now about that, talking about
There
the
you go.
vice president.
Yeah, I
Can
read
they be
these,
read?
yeah.
Okay, can I get my question answered and then we can read that aloud? So, Mr. Brooks.
So when I came to this company, we had an operation manager, and everywhere you went, I mean, Shortline has 70 different terminals. Everywhere you went on a different day, you would see that operation manager. Now we have an operation manager. We never see him. In order to talk to him, you got to call him. And if you call him, sometimes he don't answer your phone. Don't call you back. So I say, visit. Just make yourself seen, make yourself known and heard. That's not true, because I called Karen to congratulate her when she won. She ain't called me back for 6 months. So you see?
Mr. Ortiz? Well, I will continue to do what I've always done since 1998 when I became vice chairman and worked my way up. Always be available. It's where I've always been, okay? I've been doing this since 1998 in different capacities. Vice chairman, on the executive board, chairman. Again, as I said earlier, I've negotiated 4 consecutive contracts. I'm going into my 5th. And it's simple. You just have to be available. It's a thankless position, but if you believe the ways of the union to be strong, then you go in there with that openness. And you, like again, if it's sensitive, hold on. But again, the executive board is your office. That's your office, the executive board. You want to know what's going on? You go into the executive meeting. You send them a letter. I want to be at the next meeting. Here's my agenda. Here's what I want to talk about. And they have to open up. You want to know where your money is? They're going to answer your questions. And if they don't, you move it up a step. You take it to the international. That's what you do. You move it up a step. But it's simple. It's nothing difficult. You just have to be open. It works. I know. I've been doing this in 98. And I've said to my people, and Brooks here will tell you, my simple model's been, you may not like what I say, but that's the answer. That's the correct answer. And I've always said, if anybody could show proof that I did them wrong, I lied to them, I would resign. Until this day, that's never happened.